Hello everyone and welcome to episode 11 of my Orc Shaman level 1 through 60 playthrough in the Season of Discovery, where when I am beginning to record this video it is right before the upcoming patch 2 Season of Discovery drops, where we see some experience and some gold income changes be introduced into the game. So midway through this episode we'll see that patch drop and we will talk more about it or experience it a little bit more further on in the episode. But starting off today, I want to go ahead and go on a big brand new adventure to a zone that we have been to a little bit, but for the most part it is a completely brand new zone that we have not been to yet, and that is of course Stranglethorn Vale. And I'm super excited for this episode because I've been wanting to explore Stranglethorn Vale for like a very long time now, where we have been to the southern tip of Stranglethorn at the Goblin port city of Booty Bay, which is a very cool area that's like a very confusing mess of different buildings and structures clobbered together on the Cape of Stranglethorn. But today I want to head to Northern Stranglethorn, where the Horde have a very special outpost called Gromgo Stronghold, or whatever it's called, Gromgo, where we can come out of Orgrimmar and into the Zeppelin Tower here, where we have the Zeppelin that takes us to the Undercity, which we have been to, and we have ridden this Zeppelin over here. But we can go ahead and come this way to this Zeppelin, where we have a Zandalarian emissary that we can talk to in order to turn off the PvP event in Stranglethorn, which we have already done. But we can like talk to the Zeppelin Master here, where we can go to Gromgo, which we can see that very conveniently the Zeppelin is coming in right now. And Gromgo is a really fun place for many different reasons, and I think one of the biggest reasons is that this is going to be a staging point for like the latter half of this series or leveling experience or whatever, because we're currently level 32, so we're like halfway through, but we're not really halfway through. Anyways, it's going to be like a big staging ground as we go into a lot of places in the Eastern Kingdoms, because we have Stranglethorn Vale here, but if you want to get to the Sea of Sorrows and into the Blasted Lands and whatnot, we're going to want to run through from Gromgo into these places, and maybe even into areas like the Burning Steppes. But there's also a different Horde town that we will be going to in the future, but that is in the future, where for now we're going to look at Gromgo, which, as it's a staging ground into the Eastern Kingdoms for the Horde, it is a major staging ground for Stranglethorn Vale. Because if you take a look at the map of Stranglethorn here, we have the town of Booty Bay here, and then we have the Horde town of Gromgo right here, and there are no Alliance towns except for a small outpost on the very northern tip of Stranglethorn up here, where the closest Alliance town is Darkshire, located over here. So for Horde players, this is a very nice and convenient location because it gives us a very good access to the map, because it's not exactly in the center, but it's kind of in the center and is close to a lot of the opening areas. And then of course we will have a flight path connected to Booty Bay because we have been to Booty Bay, or we can go to Ratchet to take a boat to Booty Bay if we want to get all the way down here. But for this episode, we are going to be spending a lot of time here in the Northern Stranglethorn Vale. So let's go ahead, fly over Bladefist Bay, and we can go ahead and arrive in Gromgo. Whereas we have our transition here, we can see we are going from Orgrimmar over here into Stranglethorn Vale. And as this loads, as my computer is probably chugging away, you can hear it a little bit there for some reason, we can see that we are over the Vile Reef, and we are coming into this Zeppelin Tower right here that we can go ahead and dock at. And we are now at Gromgo Base Camp, not Gromgo Stronghold. But there are a ton of different things around this area, just like these Zandalarian emissaries here. And of course we have the Zeppelin to Orgrimmar, we have a Zeppelin to Undercity right here that we can take. And then I'm going to go ahead and drop down here, where I guess we could sneak back here a little bit to just see that the Zeppelin Tower on the bottom level is the inn. So if we wanted to, we could set our Hearthstone there, where my Hearthstone is currently set to the Crossroads, but we might be switching it to Orgrimmar pretty soon, where from Orgrimmar we can take a flight path out over to any other flight path that we have gotten to in Kalimdor, and then we can take a Zeppelin from Orgrimmar to the Undercity or to Gromgo, which we can then use a flight path here to go out to where we want to go. And Orgrimmar has like the bank and the auction house and our shaman trainer, so it might be a good spot to finally switch it from the crossroads, where I've had to have the crossroads because I've just been doing a lot of different quests around that area of Kalimdor, like Stone Talon and Thousand Needles and Ashen Vale and whatnot, but we're kind of aging out of that area. But if you look at the Wind Rider Master here, we have Gromgo and Stranglethorn, and then we can go to Booty Bay and we'll unlock more things up here, where we've gotten Terran Mill and we've gotten the Sepulchre and we've gotten the Undercity, which we will be able to connect at some point as we get the flight paths in between. But let's go ahead and run over here where we can see Commander Agrogosh, which I believe is like the leader of Gromgo, but we have a couple of NPCs over here that we can pick up some quests from, and I'm not sure how many of these I'm going to pick up right now. So this is going to Arathi Highlands. So let's go ahead and get to this one, and then these two, we have the Vile Reef, so we can bring a tablet shard. I'll pick that up later. And then Bloody Bowl necklaces we need to get from Blood Scalp Trolls, which I believe we can start doing now. So I'll go ahead and pick that up. And I'll leave these two quests here for now, where I ran into the blacksmith there on accident. But let's go ahead and do something that I really enjoy for whatever reason, and it's leave Gromgo. We can see the Undercity Zeppelin coming in, but we can come out of this area here, and I just love the vibes of this entire location. I love this like massive like orcish base camp right here off the coast of Stranglethorn, and we leave this base camp to go deep into the jungle of Stranglethorn Vale, and we have this path that will like lead to the road up here and stuff. And there's a very cool site somewhere around here. I think it's coming up on our left, but we'll see it in just a moment. But we have this cool little like tree root right there, and then we have a troll, like ancient troll statue head right there, and then there are a ton of raptors that I'm a little concerned about, so let's go ahead and sneak around this way. But we have the main road here, where if we took a look at the signpost, we see Gromgo there, and then Booty Bay and Arena off that way, where for people who have seen my Human Mage playthrough, we know what that arena is, but we'll take a look at it in the future. But I'm going to go ahead and come this way, where I have a few different quests leading me up towards this area, which is a very iconic part of World of Warcraft and of Stranglethorn Vale. Where the really cool decoration that I wanted to point out was a crashed Zeppelin that is crashed into a tree up here, somewhere around here, and when I see it I'll kind of show it, but we might be talking about other things at that point. We have Samantha Swifthoof right here, which is a really cool character, because for anyone who doesn't know, this character wanders the entire length of Stranglethorn Vale, all the way from like the southern entrance to Booty Bay to the northern tip where Stranglethorn turns into Duskwood. And this is mostly just a random character that is hostile to Alliance players but won't attack them on sight, and kind of just wanders around this entire area, where basically this character served a purpose in the design of World of Warcraft, where Tauren players would be able to unlock a special type of mount called Plains Running, which was basically just Tauren running super fast, where they would be able to just kind of like charge up like a special like movement speed increase as they run, and they would be able to reach like the speed of another race riding their racial mount, but Tauren would just be running on their 2 feet, which is very fun. And they would come here to Samantha Swifthoof or to another NPC in like Kalimdor. I think you could like pick which one you wanted to go to, and you would be able to learn that. But let's go ahead and leave the road here and go into the dangerous jungles over here to reach Nessinrae's Expedition, where we have Headman Nessinrae right here, and this is a very iconic quest in World of Warcraft, or quest chain I suppose, where we can talk to Hemmed right here, where we actually have 2 quests we can turn in, which is cool. So let's go ahead and turn them in. And then we had a quest to explore this area around here that we have now completed, and we can go turn that in. But we can pick up Welcome to the Jungle right here from Barnell Stonepot, and then we can go ahead and turn this into Hemmed, which we might, oh, we almost leveled up, but we can go ahead and pick up 3 new quests, where we can kill Stranglethorn Raptors, and we can kill Stranglethorn Tigers, tigers, and we can kill young panthers. So these are 3 different quests to hunt 3 different animals around Stranglethorn Vale here. And as we complete each of these quests, we will unlock a new quest where we will have to fight stronger versions of each animal. And then when we complete that quest, we will be able to unlock a new quest to fight an even stronger version. And then once we complete that quest, we will unlock a new quest to kill a special boss that is that specific animal. And when we kill all 3 bosses, we unlock one final quest to kill like the biggest beast in Stranglethorn Vale that we can look at doing in the future, because we can do like the first ones right now, but we will not be completing this for a few episodes probably. But we have another quest here called the Green Hills of Stranglethorn, where if you remember a few episodes ago I talked about this, where in Ashen Vale we have a special quest to make a shredder repair manual or whatever by getting a bunch of pages from mob drops around Ashen Vale, and that was only for Horde players. But now we have this quest which is very similar, but it's for both Horde and Alliance. So as you kill any animal or humanoid or whatever across Stranglethorn Vale, there's a barrel sweet nectar here, let's grab this. We can be on the lookout for those pages, and we can be able to progress towards completing that quest. So it's like 2 different things that we can work towards in our journey across Stranglethorn Vale, where we can kill a young Stranglethorn tiger over here and maybe level up, or we can go kill another one. So basically we have a lot of quests around Stranglethorn Vale to do a lot of hunting, and then we have some other stuff over here related to the Venture Call, and then we have a lot of stuff related to trolls. And I want to start talking a lot about trolls in World of Warcraft, like their lore and story and stuff like that. So I think that's what we're going to be spending most of this episode doing, is just talking about the trolls and just exploring Stranglethorn Vale. And we can level up a little bit. Maybe we'll level up like 2 or 3 times this episode, because I'm very close to leveling up right now, and we can just complete a bunch of quests. Whereas we kill this tiger here, we have leveled up to level 33, so we have a brand new talent point that we can go ahead and spend on our elemental weapons here, which I don't have my Wind Fury weapons on right now, so let's go ahead and press that. And then, oh, we have another unspent talent. Apparently I never spent a talent point last time I leveled up, so I guess let's go ahead and max out elemental weapons there. Where of course, as we're now level 33, we're getting kind of close to level 40, where we will be able to unlock the final talent in this tree, Storm Strike. So we have that to look forward to, but we're going to have to throw another point into something else, maybe into like anticipation here, and then into weapon mastery, and then eventually into Storm Strike. We can see that there are a bunch of trolls down there, where we have 3 different quests that we can work on fighting all those trolls. But I'm going to go ahead and sneak out this way, I think, where I forgot to skin this, and we can go ahead and kind of just begin wandering around Stranglethorn Vale, and we can complete all the different quests around here. And let's go ahead and talk a lot about troll lore. Trolls, collectively referred to as trollkind, are a diverse, sapient race that can be found in every part of Azeroth. They are one of the world's oldest known native races. Trolls are divided into many subgroups adapted to different environments, namely blood trolls, dark trolls, forest trolls, ice trolls, jungle trolls, sand trolls, and Zandalari trolls. Many trolls have no loyalty except amongst their own tribes, but some important groups have joined the Horde, the Darkspear tribe, Shatterspear tribe, Revantusk tribe, Jellynek's tribe, and Zandalari Empire. Some forest trolls cling to their allegiance to the Old Horde and its villainous offshoots. Troll is a race grouped into tribes, with each varying from being tall, lanky, and muscular, and being different than the others both physically and culturally. They have both elven and orc-like characteristics, with fierce tusks and long ears. Their long arms, strong legs, quick reflexes, as well as their incredible agility and strength make them adept hunters. Trolls have 3 fingers and 3 toes, with 1 protruding from the heel. Most trolls do not wear standard shoes or boots, as they are simply more comfortable barefoot. However, some do, and adorning them for battle or war is done by some. Male trolls frequently squat in place, while the females do not. Trolls and their various subgroups are some of the tallest mortal races on Azeroth. Both males and females have a variety of tusk styles ranging from small to large. They also feature a wide range of wild hairstyles, though mohawks are very common. The 3 largest subgroups of trolls are the dark trolls, ice trolls, and the Zandalari trolls, who on average are much larger than their kindred. There is another variant of troll, albeit not a subgroup, that far exceeds the normal size range. These trolls are called dire trolls. Forest trolls' bodies can support plant life to a limited extent due to a mutation that took place millennia ago. A thin layer of moss may grow on their skin shortly after they are born, giving them their characteristic greenish color. Jungle trolls' bodies are covered in short, soft fur, which causes them to appear purple or gray. However, their range of colors is even broader, as many appear in shades of blue as well as tints of green. Vol'jin and Kunlai stated that the human Tyrathian court could cope with the cold better than he could. However, he managed to get used to it very rapidly. With how naturally adaptable trolls are, as confirmed by their numerous subgroups, it wouldn't be surprising if this wasn't true for most trolls. Trolls have a characteristic way of speaking. Words like yo, a greeting, and mon, man, are common expressions. Although enough physical damage can kill them, all trolls possess incredible physical resilience and can regenerate grievous physical energies at an astonishingly accelerated rate, giving them a large advantage in battle. All trolls are naturally able to regenerate lost limbs and organs thanks to their unique physiology, meaning they do not need the blessings of Alola to be able to regenerate. The average speed of regeneration is not entirely known, however. While there are several impressive and rapid feats, there have also been examples of trolls that have been depicted as critically wounded and at least temporarily disabled by their injuries in World of Warcraft. Trolls are capable of controlling their regeneration, though how they do so is unknown, but a troll can make a conscious decision to not heal a scar as to leave a mark of what has happened to them. An example of this is Vol'jin, after having been the victim of an attempted assassination, decided to not fully heal his throat and lung as a reminder of his mistake to accept Garrosh's mission. Troll children are taught about those cursed by the Loa, unable to heal even flesh wounds, to instill the proper respect for their patron spirits. There are tales in troll culture about those blessed by the Loa that can regenerate nearly the entirety of their body. The tale of Vul'jin the Void speaks of how he regrew almost his entire body after standing in a pool of shadow flame. The Zandalarian merchant Tixu charged trolls for their arms and legs as a result of trolls being able to regrow their limbs. Trolls are also so well known for their regenerative abilities that there are alchemical mixtures which induce some form of regeneration referred to as troll's blood elixirs, despite not actually containing any troll blood. Judging by the reagents used to make them, when it comes to troll blood, however, an interesting thing to note is that sand troll blood is thick enough to hold in your hand. At the heart of ancient Kalimdor lay the Well of Eternity, an enormous lake filled with powerful energies. The well accelerated the cycles of growth and rebirth on the primordial continent, and soon sentient life forms arose from the wilds. The trolls were among the first and most prolific. Trolls are one of the oldest races on Azeroth. Before the days of empires such as the Empire of Zul, the Shadow Hunters were the leaders of small groups of trolls that over time formed small tribes. Over 20,000 years ago, trolls made villages constructed out of straw huts, though mainly centered in the southern parts of Kalimdor. They ventured as far north as the Dragon Isles. The first center of troll civilization was in Nazmir. Over time, as trolls gathered in great cities, the influence of the Shadow Hunters was lessened. Despite this, the position is still a highly respected one. The early trolls developed an array of superstitious customs. Some practiced cannibalism and warfare, others mystic practices and meditation, and others honed their ties to the dark and powerful form of magic known as voodoo. What all trolls shared was a common religion centered around Kalimdor's wild gods, which the trolls worshipped as deities under the name Loa. The troll tribes gathered near the sacred mountain range of Zandalar in southern Kalimdor, where many of the Loa dwelt. The lesser tribes built small encampments on Zandalar's slopes, but the most powerful tribe, the Zandalari, claimed the highest peaks and plateaus. There, they built a cluster of shrines that would later come to grow into the temple city of Zuldazar. The tribes would then unite under the first tamer of raptors, King Dazar, and form the Zandalari Empire. About 16,000 years ago, long before the Night Elves summoned the wrath of the Burning Legion, trolls lorded over much of Kalimdor, which was then a single continent. The Zandalari were the earliest known trolls, the first tribe from which all tribes originated. The Zandalari Empire was heavily dependent on a caste system, and as time went on, those castes evolved into their own people. The lower castes eventually left the Zandalari Empire, and the Zandalari trolls were content to see them go, seeing them as children who would see the folly of youthful rebellion and come back begging for Zandalari approval. However, the trolls would not return. Over time, two distinct troll empires emerged. the Amani Empire of the Middle Forest Lands, and the Gurubashi Empire of the southeastern jungles. Smaller tribes lived far north in the region now known as Northrend. These tribes founded a small nation known as Zuldrak, but they never achieved the size or prosperity of the southern empires. It was not uncommon for these powerful tribes to go to war with each other, usually over disputed territories or for specific resources. For the most part, however, these wars were benign and rarely lasted long enough for any major conflicts to occur. The Trolls were so skilled at hunting and fighting that any large confrontation would prove to be extremely costly for all parties involved. Regardless of which side won, untouched and unclaimed land was plentiful in every direction, and the various factions quickly realized that it was wiser to resettle or withdraw rather than to risk an open and potentially costly war. There was only one location which the Trolls were actively forbidden from disturbing by their priests and mystic. This was a dark mound of blackened earth and stone located at the base of the Zandalar Mountains. The Loa warned Troll priests of severe consequences should they disturb this place, and for centuries none dared to. Eventually, a group of curious and rebellious Trolls led by the Gurubashi outcast Zando resigned to throw caution to the wind and plumed the forbidden mound. What they discovered was that the black stones were not rocks. They were the jagged hide of a large and monstrous creature. Stunned and excited by their discovery, they incorrectly believed that what they had unearthed was a Loa. They further concluded that this Loa must be one of particular power, as the other spirits appeared to be afraid of his presence. Determined to awaken this being, the Trolls performed vile ceremonies and rituals, including living sacrifices. Roused by the richly spilled blood, a gigantic Cathraxi known as Kithix emerged from his millennia-long slumber and immediately, viciously slew those who had revived it. Kithix, fully awakened, knew it would delight the old gods to see this pitiful civilization rent to ashes. It reached out with its mind and took control of the Akir dwelling underground. The Akiri swarms began building a vast subterranean empire known as Akir, and when they had swollen enough in numbers, the Kithrax led them to make war against the Trolls in a conflict now known as the Akir and Troll War. The Akir threat was unlike any the Trolls had ever faced. As they got dangerously close to the Zandalar Mountains, the Zandalari moved to act. They united the disparate Troll tribes into a single mighty force, which they called the Empire of Zul. Its members would put aside their differences and work together to destroy the Akir. The Trolls fought the Akir for many thousands of years, but never succeeded in winning a true victory over them. Eventually, due to the Trolls' persistence, the Akiri kingdom split into thirds as its citizens fled to separate colonies in the far northern and southern reaches of the continent. 3 Akiri kingdoms then emerged: Ejul Nerub in the northern wastes, Ankhraj in the southern desert, and Mantives near the domain of Mogu. Though the Trolls suspected that there were other Akiri colonies beneath Kalimdor, their existence was never verified. With the insectoids driven into exile, the twin Troll empires returned to normalcy. Despite their great victories, neither civilization expanded much further than their original boundaries. However, ancient texts speak of a small faction of Dark Trolls who broke off from the Amani Empire and founded their own colony in the heart of the Dark Continent. There, the pioneers discovered the cosmic well of eternity, which allegedly transformed them into beings of immense power. Some legends suggest that these Troll adventurers became the first Night Elves, and this was later confirmed by Freya, Cenarius, and the Tribunal of Ages when asked by the legendary explorer Bran Brownsbeard. Then, 15,000 years ago, the Zandalari allied with the Mogu in their empire, but both the Mogu and Zandalari held contempt for one another. The Zandalari thought themselves above the Mogu for 2 reasons: the presence of the Loa, and that the Zandalari did not use slaves as the Mogu did. The mutual contempt between the two would grow to polite indifference. They trusted the other not to attack because they were confident they would defeat the other. While Zandalari and Mogu stood back to back, they did not watch the other and did not see the other falter. After their discovery of the Well of Eternity, the descendants of these dark trolls, now calling themselves Kaldorai in their new language, came to power. They started their rise to power by defeating the nearby troll tribes. Against their enemies, the Kaldorai used overwhelming military power, their armies supported by Elune's blessings. The Night Elves' greatest soldiers were bestowed the goddess's fury through dangerous rituals, and these night warriors secured Kalimdor for their empire. Despite the trolls' attempts to keep them from expanding their territories, the Night Elves built a strong empire that expanded rapidly across primordial Kalimdor. wielding magics never before seen by their ancestors' kin, who remained largely superstitious. The Night Elves had little trouble demolishing the Trolls' twin empires, an act the Hakkar could not accomplish. The Night Elves systematically dismantled the Trolls' defenses and supply chains. The Trolls, unable to counter the Elves' destructive magics, buckled under the onslaught. The actions of the Night Elves incurred the Trolls' long-lasting hatred and disdain. The Gurubashi and Amani empires fragmented within only a few short years. Ultimately, the Kaldorei Queen Azara struck an accord with the Zandalar Empire, which held immense influence over all other Trolls. In exchange for ending Troll incursions into Night Elf territory, the Zandalari would be allowed to keep the sacred Zandalar Mountains south of the Well of Eternity. Fully aware they stood no chance against their enemies' arcane powers, the Trolls begrudgingly agreed. The Night Elves' shockingly quick victory and the Trolls' shameful acquiescence fostered the Trolls' deep resentment and eternal hatred towards Night Elves, lasting to this very day. Eventually, the Night Elves' reckless overuse of magic lured the demonic Burning Legion to the world. The demons destroyed much of the Night Elf civilization. Though there are no records to indicate that the Legion attacked either Troll civilization, it is likely that battles took place across the breadth of the continent. Some dark gray-skinned Trolls guarded Notharian's lair, magically kept under the Aspect's sway. At the end of this conflict, known as the War of the Ancients, the Well of Eternity imploded. The resulting shockwave shattered the greater landmass of Kalimdor. The center of the continent was blasted beneath the sea, leaving a group of multiple broken continents. Thus, great chunks of both the Amani and Gurubashi empires were lost to the waves, but plenty of their land still exists in the present-day lands of Quel'Thalas and Stranglethorn, respectively. The Ajakir empires of Azul Narub, Ank'Raj, and Matuves have also survived in present-day Northrend, Kalimdor, and Pandaria, respectively. The Troll civilizations were quarreled from the vast destruction of the world they had known. The Trolls later rebuilt their ravaged cities and set about to reclaim some of their former power. One of the oldest wars in Azeroth was between the forest trolls of Zul'Aman and the High Elves. High Elves founded their kingdom of Quel'Thalas over ground sacred to the Trolls, beneath which lay an ancient troll city. This sparked conflict between the High Elves and Trolls, with the Elves' magic frightening away the superstitious and angry troll warbands. 4,000 years passed while the Trolls plotted and schemed as their numbers grew. Finally, a mighty troll army charged out from the shadowy forests and once again laid siege to the shining spires of Quel'Thalas. The Elves were hopelessly outnumbered. Believing defeat to be imminent, the High Elves in desperation sought the aid of the humans of Erethdor, teaching them the ways of magic in exchange for their assistance. Together, the High Elves and humans stood against the troll armies at the foot of the Otrak Mountains and used fire magic to set the trolls ablaze and prevent them from regenerating their wounds. The troll armies broke and attempted to flee, but were chased by enemy forces and eventually killed. The forest trolls would never fully recover from their defeat, and history would never see them rise as one nation again. The long centuries following the great sundering of the world were difficult ones for the troll race. Famine and death were commonplace within the broken kingdoms. The Gurubashi trolls, driven to desperate ends, sought aid from ancient mystical forces. Though both of the troll kingdoms shared a central belief in a great pantheon of primitive gods, the Gurubashi fell under the sway of a darker one. 1,500 years before the opening of the Dark Portal, Hakkar the Soulflayer, a darker spirit, heard the trolls' cause of distress and decided to aid them. Hakkar gave his secrets of blood to the Gurubashi and helped them extend their civilization across most of Stranglethorn Vale and certain islands of the South Seas. Though he brought them great power, Hakkar demanded souls be sacrificed to him daily. He wanted to gain access to the physical world so that he could terrorize and devour mortal creatures. In time, the Zandalari helped the Gurubashi realize what kind of creature they had courted with, and both forces turned against him. The strongest tribes rose up against Hakkar and his loyal priests, the Ata'ai. The devastating war that ensued between Hakkar's followers and the rest of the Gurubashi tribes was not well recorded, and has mostly been passed through oral tradition. The budding empire was shattered by the magic unleashed between the angry god and his rebel children. Just as the war began turning away from the trolls' favor, they succeeded in destroying Hakkar's avatar and banishing him from the mortal world. The Ata'ai priests were eventually driven from the capital of Zul'Gurub and forced to survive in the uncharted swamplands of the north. Within the dense ferns, they built a great temple, Atal Hakkar, in honor of their fallen god, where they continued to worship and serve him. The rest of the Gurubashi tribes had separated after the Great Civil War had left their lands in ruins. The Skull Splitter, Bloodscalp, and Darkspear tribes set off to claim their own lands within the vast jungles of Stranglethorn. Though a fragile peace had settled over the broken empire, rumors of a prophecy that Hakkar would one day be reborn into the world spread. When the Horde first arrived on Azeroth, the Troll tribes initially ignored the Orcs, but when the Horde destroyed Stormwind and was moving to destroy Lordaeron, the Forest Trolls saw the perfect chance to gain vengeance for their defeat in the Troll Wars. Led by the mighty Zul'jin, the Forest Trolls proved to be a great asset to the Horde during the Second War and were able to successfully strike against the High Elves of Quel'Thalas. However, when Warchief Orgrim Doomhammer decided to launch an assault on the humans of Lordaeron instead of continuing the invasion of Quel'Thalas, Zul'jin grew furious. The Forest Trolls ultimately left the Horde when the Orcs were defeated and placed into internment camps, with the Revantusk tribe still having a small amount of loyalty to the Horde. The Troll race would then return to the former policy of ignoring the Horde until the Third War. During the Third War, the young Warchief Thrall heeded the Prophet's words to set sail to Kalimdor. On the way, his ships crash-landed on the Darkspear Islands, and his forces encountered the Darkspear tribe. After helping the Darkspear tribe against the attacking Alliance forces, all sides were captured by Murlocs, under the command of the Sea Witch, Zarjira. After being saved and following the chieftain Sinjin's dying wishes, the Darkspear tribe swore loyalty to the Horde. Following the aftermath of the Third War, the Orcs sent emissaries to the Hinterlands to renew the bonds of loyalty with their former Forest Troll allies. While the Vilebranch and the Witherbark refused outright, the Revantusk tribes agreed and had become the Horde's ally. In Daenerys, Alliance and Horde adventurers have launched constant assaults on the Sandfury Troll capital of Zul'Farrak, leaving it in a barren wasteland. In Stranglethorn Vale, the Hakkari and Ata-Ai were able to successfully bring forth Hakkar the Soulflayer into Zul'Gurub, with the Gurubashi tribe quickly joining them in hopes of restoring themselves to their former glory. When word of Hakkar's presence reached the Zandalar tribe, they sent a contingent of Gurubashi high priests to stop him. When word reached the Zandalari that the priests had been enslaved by Hakkar, King Rastakhan sent emissaries from the island of Zuldazar to recruit champions from Azeroth's many races in the hope that Hakkar could once again be defeated. The Zandalari's call to arms were answered by the proud members of the Alliance and Horde, who slew the enthralled high priests and Gurubashi witch doctor Jin'do, and ultimately Hakkar himself, leaving Zul'Gurub but a shadow of its former glory. After the Blood Elves joined the Horde, Zul'jin ventured out of Zul'Aman and became enraged that the Troll's eternal enemy joined with his former ally. He saw the opportunity when most of the Blood Elves and Horde were busy fighting on Outland. He had his champions harness the power of the Loa with the help of the cunning Hexlord Malakras. Not wanting to fight a war on two fronts, the Horde sent a task force of some of their strongest champions to kill the Amani leadership. At the entrance to Zul'Aman, adventurers encountered Bud Nedrick, who convinced them to also steal the treasures within as well. With Zul'jin dead, the Forest Troll capital became quiet, with the surviving Amani grouping under Dakara. In Northrend, Zuldrak became under attack by the Undead Scourge. In desperation to counter the Scourge threat, the Drakari trolls began sacrificing their own Loa and draining their power for themselves. The Zandalari went to Zuldrak to intervene on behalf of the Loa and chronicle the end of the Drakari Empire. The empowered Drakari soon became power-mad and threatened the forces of the Alliance, Horde, and Arching Crusade, who were attempting to fight back the Scourge in Northrend. As a result, the adventurers employed by these forces were, after neutralizing the Scourge threat in the lower reaches of the city, directed against the Drakari, and with the aid of the Loa who escaped the Drakari's plot, managed to take out all the empowered trolls in the city. These adventurers soon converged on Gundrak itself, and there they slew the remaining champions of Zuldrak, including their leader, High Prophet Galdra. As a result of these events, the Zandalari considered Zuldrak to have been destroyed by the Scourge. Where that is a lot of lore and story related to the trolls, and we are going to talk more about trolls in the future, and we have talked a lot about trolls thus far in my different Let's Play series, but that is basically all I want to talk about in this episode. But I really wanted to point out the PvP event in Stranglethorn Vale, because at the end of the episode here, I was just doing some questing to level up a little bit after the update came out that introduced the experience buff, and it is terrifying to just run around here, and these trolls I think get empowered from the event, and then there's all these people fighting everywhere. And of course I had the buff, so I didn't participate in the fighting, but I'm definitely interested in trying this event out once I reach level 40, which hopefully we will be able to participate in this still if the community is still interested in this once we reach that point. But after I completed a bunch of quests and finished killing a lot of trolls, I returned to Orgrimmar where I set my Hearthstone, and then I did a bunch of crafting in order to get my leather working up a little bit, but I need to go to Thunderbluff to level it up a little bit more because I have some new things I can learn, I think. And with all of that, I think I'm going to call this episode good here, where I hope you all enjoyed watching this episode and talking about trolls and taking a look at Stranglethorn Vale, and I hope you all are taking good care of yourselves. Remember, as always, to drink some water, check your posture, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time in the world of Azeroth. Goodbye.